What's up, LinkedIn family? It's Thomas Bailey with Trans Auto Relocation. Welcome to The Leading Edge. Today, I'm super excited. We have a rock star in our midst, Bill Mulholland of ARC Relocation. I really can't wait to get into this conversation. I've been knowing Bill for a few years now, and very honored to have him on the show. Bill, thank you so much for joining The Leading Edge. Thanks so much for joining me and joining us. If you could please, just kind of introduce your company a bit, tell us what your company does, and then also explain your role within the company.
Yeah, no problem. So ARC Relocation is a relocation management company. We've been around for 14 years. I started the company in 2004. I would say probably about 65% of our business is with the U.S. government, and we're on the GSA schedule. We service a lot of the federal law enforcement agencies. The other 35% of our business is with corporations all over. Likewise, I would say 50% is international, 50% is domestic. And my official role with the company is director, and I act as the point of contact for all of our clients on a macro level.
So in the beginning, we had a few technical issues.
Yeah, we're really big on technology over here.
What generation do you fall into?
I'm 42, so I don't know. I'm not a millennial. I think millennials are in their late 20s by now. I think I'm like Generation X or something.
You're like Gen X, so you're like right between boomers and millennials. I think the millennials are like maybe 35, 36, the oldest, and then they got pretty big role there, obviously. So you have a ton of people that kind of report to you, right? But you've been in the business for how long?
Well, I've been in the business since I graduated from George Mason in 2000, so 18 years. I was with another relocation company prior to starting ARC.
So basically, over time that you worked with, you've managed people older and younger. This is probably two-sided though for you because you've probably experienced it, and then also now you're kind of having to kind of implement that. Where's your stance on obviously mentoring younger generations, but then also kind of cross-mentoring, so to speak, to the younger generation, speaking up to the older generation, kind of showing them how we do it?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing that I do at work probably is manage people. Because it's so diverse, I think you really need to speak to your audience. So people are motivated by different things, and we like, I think, to lump people into categories of Gen X and Gen Y and the millennials. And sometimes you can do that because it's kind of all about what you grew up with, and obviously that's going to influence you. Like my kids are growing up with iPads and iPhones. It's just way different than when I was a kid. So obviously it's going to change them, but some people are motivated by praise or accolades. Some people are motivated financially. So there's different motivations for different people, and I think to be successful as a manager, you need to discover your audience and what may motivate those people and try and appeal to that. As far as mentoring goes, I've never really acted in an official mentorship role, maybe without realizing it. And conversely, I've never had an official mentor, although there are a lot of people in my professional career and in my life that certainly I would call them my mentor. But, I try and do it as much as I can and give advice to people who I work with and who work for me that I would have wanted to receive. And when I hire people, I always tell them, I'm going to teach you everything that I know, and so that hopefully you will be way more successful than I've ever been.
Right.
And really, it's just looking for those people who want to learn and who want to be mentored and who want to grow.
In your rise to the top.
Still going.
Right, still going. Did you often run into situations where your newer ideas, something that would have been more like your age level type of thing? Do you feel like you ran into any issues from boomers that was like, oh no, that's too exciting, or that's too this or that? Did you have to kind of fight through that fairly often in your 18 years?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a couple of things. Number one, I never would have started my company if my former employer had listened to my crazy ideas. So, I worked for this third-party relocation company for 4 years, and I dealt primarily with the federal law enforcement community. A lot of them were using a realtor rebate product through USAA because they were members and they could get a real estate agent and then get a rebate. And I approached my former employer and said, we should do this. We're losing a lot of business. It's kind of a no-brainer. And the response I got pretty much was, that's cute. Go ahead and go back to your desk, kid, and do your work. Okay. And to a certain point where it motivated to me to start my own company and try it myself. And it was very successful. And when I started my company, I was 27 years old, which is pretty young. So it was hard to approach these companies and these contracts to say, hey, you should do business with me. I'm 27. Really, to be honest with you, still to this day, I don't really advertise that I own ARC. Many people in the industry know that, but many people don't, and many of my clients don't. And to this day, you know, I'm in meetings with people who are more seasoned than I am and have more professional experience than I do, and I'm still a little intimidated by that. So, you know, I've run into that throughout my career, and I try and overcome it by sometimes not really fully disclosing how much is in my hands at all times, maybe because I feel like I'm too young or I still don't have enough experience. I'm still learning.
Somewhat of a humble approach, and then kind of working every day to you know, take the next step. I'm sure that's why the company is so successful. And to be honest, I mean, I always knew or thought you owned the company.
I'm sure a lot of people are like that. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, it's not the CEO, it's not the president, it's not the owner, it's, you know, the director. And obviously, if anyone asks, then, you know, I'm more than happy to tell them. But that's definitely not something that I really advertise.
When I looked at your LinkedIn, I'm like, and I saw director, I'm like, okay, well, all right, well, maybe, I don't know. I didn't think, unless it share your title, I'm like, drop the CEO, dude, let's go, you know? Everybody will know.
The secret is out after this.
The cat in the bag. I mean, it's 27, it's super young, you know,
yeah.
To start a company and have it still be here today. Can you share with me one of your key success that you would attribute your success to so far?
You know, I think I'm very lucky and fortunate that I really like what I do.
Yeah.
So, you know, that really, I think, is the key to a lot of people who have been successful. And certainly for me, I don't mind working. I enjoy it. So, I mean, it's not uncommon for me to be in the office at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, working on RFPs, working nights, weekends, much to my wife's dismay, responding to emails, text messages. But I like it. So, you know, I read a book when I was pretty young called The Millionaire Next Door.
Oh, yeah.
And the premise, you read that book? So, and as you know, I mean, the premise of it is do what you enjoy, and that way you won't mind working really hard. Don't become a doctor to be rich. Don't become a lawyer to be rich. You know, once upon a time, there was a guy who was pretty good at making pizzas, you know, and opened up Papa John's. He's now the richest man in North Carolina. It doesn't sound very glorious, but if you're good at something and you enjoy it, you'll be successful. And that's been really the key to it for me, is I get to work really, really hard and enjoy working hard.
You kind of mentioned the family aspect of things. Tell me what's harder, starting a company at 27 and then having it stretch, you know, for this long and keep running and you look like you're still growing, or starting and maintaining a family?
Oh, family, hands down. Business is easy. But, you know, you talk about managing employees and how difficult that can be. Oh, my God, you know, being a parent is the whole next level. Yeah, there's no manual. No one tells you the truth of what you're really going to, you know, encounter and go up against. But, you know, it's the same thing where it's fun and you enjoy it. So working hard is worth it. You know, you get the hug and the kiss and they tell you that they love you. That washes out the torturous, you know, getting them out of bed and getting them to do what they're supposed to do and all that. So really similar, very similar. You know, no one's going to be a parent and all the hell that you have to go through unless kids were so cute and you loved them so much.
11-year-old daughter, 11-year-old son, I look at them sometimes like, if you were just a little less cute.
Same with puppies. No one's getting a dog if they're not that cute. They're going to the bathroom all over your house, destroying everything.
I've seen you around the ERC and things like that for quite some time now, and you always have a very good demeanor about yourself. Obviously, you're a positive person. How do you handle negativity in the workplace and just in general that kind of helps you, especially as a leader? I mean, because you're leading a bunch of people. I mean, so how do you kind of move through negativity and kind of get people to come along with you?
Yeah, you know, again, I think I'm very fortunate that I really believe in the product that I'm selling, and I really believe in the company, and I think that is infectious to a lot of people, and to include our own internal employees. So, you know, the commodity that we sell as a relocation company is our service and our knowledge. We don't really sell a tangible good. We don't sell books or computers. We're selling our consulting services. So when I hire people, it's extremely important because that's really the company, right? I try and hire people who are positive, and I try and go through a vetting process where I make sure that they're going to enjoy what they're doing, and this is what they're looking for. And then I try and let my enthusiasm about not only how much the company has grown, but how much of a potential the company has to grow, and what a opportunity that is for the employees. And you can see people who have worked for me for 10 years who their salaries have increased by 300% over 10 years, and how successful the company is. And you look at numbers and statistics and things like that, and I try and be as infectious as possible at the workplace. Every morning I come in, I try and say good morning to everybody in the office. We're always doing fun stuff, ordering lunch, ordering breakfast. I'm briefing them on all the new contracts that we're signing. Just in the past 14 days, we've got awarded the contract with USDA and Social Security Administration, which I haven't announced yet. We start servicing Social Security Administration on December 1st. And I can legitimately sit down and tell my employees, who's the head of relocation for the Secret Service, to me is a legend. He's been around for 30 years. And when I started the industry, I met him. And to think that now I have that contract, where for 10 years it was with Cardis, and like over 10 years it was with Brookfield, and now they've selected ARC. That says a lot about where this company is going and what we're bringing to the table right now. So, sometimes if you have an employee who maybe is not positive and who is not into it, you need to, guide them to, this might not be the job for you. Especially in a small business, that can be very infectious. I like to surround myself with positive people as well, and try and make them as happy and as enthusiastic as I am, because I really believe that we should be enthusiastic and we should be positive. We have an awesome thing going on here.
Speaking of winning business, obviously, if there's any suppliers or supplier partners or vendors out here listening to this video right now, what do you all look for in a good vendor or supplier partner? What's the one thing that you like all of your vendors need to have as a characteristic?
Like every relocation management company, we measure service with metrics through our system, right? So that's great. And, for movers, it's measuring things like estimated delivery date to actual delivery date, and estimated invoice to the actual invoice, and the claims ratio. So you have metrics and statistics, and for real estate brokers, it's days on market and list price to sales price ratio, and that's all great. About a year and a half ago, the company really started to grow, right? Significantly. And so we had to kind of take a time out and pause and try and identify what we felt made the company special so that we could maintain that and we would never lose that. And we came up with 4 core values, which are teamwork, accountability, inspiration, and innovation. And then we have our mission statement, which is transforming perspectives. And so that's really what we look for. We want vendor partners who also subscribe to teamwork, and who also subscribe to accountability if there's an issue, who also subscribe to being innovative and inspiring through their customer service or whatever it is. What we really look for are companies that hold our same core values. And so that's really what we identified. This year, for the first time ever, we're doing what we call the ARC Awards. And again, what I think makes us a little bit different about other relocation companies is our awards are not going to go just based on metrics, who did the most moves or who had the least amount of claims or who had the highest customer service scores, but more on a vote of who is embracing our core value. What is the one service provider that is the most inspirational and the most innovative, and the one who is the most accountable, or who's the best team player? So that's really what we look for, similar cultures, so that we can do business together more efficiently and grow together.
From the other side, everybody works with clients or have clients that say partner, but it's not really.
Yes, so, agreed.
It's very refreshing, though, to work with a company that actually values that side of things. Back to family again. We're kind of jumping around here. So, as a person that started a company and a business owner and all that, family is very important. Do you consult with your family?
Yeah, I do. It's funny, my wife raises our kids, and that's a full-time job, and that's obviously the most important job, but she's got a really good business sense. So a lot of times, I'm having this inner turmoil with myself of what I should do, whether it's an RFP or bidding on a price or maybe an issue that's come up. And she's a great sounding board. And sometimes it's easier when you're a step back or you're on the bird's eye view to say, this is probably what you should do. She gives me great advice, and I run things past her a lot. And same with the kids. I mean, that's one great thing about kids is they're brutally honest. I'll give you a great example. I was negotiating with somebody I wanted to hire, and they came back to the table and asked for more at the 11th hour. And I really thought I wanted this person, but that was kind of a red flag. And we were a small business, and it's hard to negotiate, so I was really hemming and hawing. And my daughter was over listening to my conversation, which she always does. And she just chimed in and said, you get what you get, and you don't get upset. And I cracked up. I thought that was funny, but at the end of the day, I decided not to meet kind of their last-second demands and not hire that person. In hindsight, I think it was good. That type of negotiating against the company probably wouldn't have fit in good with our culture when we were still starting up and still growing. So yeah, I always run it past the family for the sounding board and see what they think, because they love you. They have no hidden motivation. They're going to give you their honest opinion.
I feel like back in the day, it was more like you go to work and you do your thing, and then when you come home, you're at home, and it's all separate. And I feel like as we go through with technology and social media, and LinkedIn, and this and all these other things, those family and home are definitely meeting much more.
I will say, in case my wife hears this, it's important to unplug, and she always tells me that. And at the very least, I usually get home at around 6:30 at night. The kids usually go to bed at 8:30 at night. So at the very least, I try and disconnect for those 2 hours just to do dinner and bath time and bedtime. So I think that's extremely important. I could probably be a little bit better at that, but she also keeps me honest on that too. So I do think that's equally important. You do have to unplug, or you'll just get completely burned out.
Okay, so the moving industry is going through a lot, right? And you use movers, obviously. If you look into a crystal ball for the moving industry, for the household goods side of things, what do you see in the next couple of years?
Funny you should ask, Mr. Bailey, because
crystal ball, is that what you going to tell me?
I hope I have a crystal ball, man. We'll see if there's some cash on the other side of it. But the crystal ball I'm looking into right now has had me working on a software for about 7 months. We're definitely putting our money where our mouth is. We've spent quite a bit of money on new technology, and I'm hoping that the first phase of it is going to launch by the end of this year. There's two main highlights I would give you about the technology. The first highlight is the ability to do electronic surveys. And I'm not talking about a video survey. We've come up with a way that we feel is 1,000 times more efficient. The second thing that the software is going to bring is transparency and convenience. People are going to be able to compare rates and options of moving companies online, just like you can on Priceline.com for a flight or Hotels.com for a hotel room. The back end of the software is going to put the moves in the Ethereum blockchain, which is what they're using at the Port of Rotterdam, or DHL is using. A lot of logistics companies are using it. If you look at blockchain technology, the number 2 use of it, besides cryptocurrency or cybercurrency, is logistics, which I think is going to allow movers to be able to network their shipments and trucks together to be more efficient. And maybe one day they're not going to need to join a franchise to get the network and to get shipments coming back and forth and to be a booking agent, put them on other trucks. Well, if everyone's working off the blockchain, you're going to know where every shipment in the world is going to and from, and you can leverage the empty space with any mover who wants to be included on that shipment without having to be part of a franchise. I'm pretty excited about this software, and hopefully you see it coming out.
So far, you dropped 2 things that no one else so I don't know whether I was supposed to air this or wait till next year.
Air it, man. I'm not going to tell you what is so much more efficient than the video survey, but when you see it, it's awesome.
So all this innovation, because obviously you just said that the moving industry, not your words, but for the most part, a lot of people say it hasn't changed over or whatever. I've been in the industry for 10 years, and it's slowly starting to change in reaction to some of the technologies or some of the threats to the industry. So obviously that's good that we're responding. What are some of the innovations that you've seen over the years that you saw and just immediately were like, well, that's good?
I'm 42, so I've seen a lot. Once upon a time, when I first started the industry, a website called Realtor.com came out, and every realtor in the world is like, oh my God, they're not going to need us anymore. Anyone's going to be able to find out about any house they want. Realtors are going to go out of business. And of course they didn't, but that changed the industry. Back in the day, you couldn't just go on Realtor.com. You had to go to a real estate agent to find out what house was for sale. I think the moving industry, we haven't seen as much change as the real estate side of things or the mortgage side of things.
Yeah.
But I think that change is coming. It's got to, with driver shortages and everything else going on, and kind of the squeeze being put on. Prices are going up, and consumers want to be more savvy and save more money. I think the technology is right around the corner.
The idea that you just talked about, that you guys are working on, something like that, it said a couple of years ago would be like shock to the system. They'd be like, no way, this is, even some of the changes that are coming now, it's like, I don't know, it's going to put drivers and movers out of business. But just like that, the Realtor.com thing, at first, realtors everywhere were like, I'm done, we're finished. But it actually made once they realized they could embrace it, it made their jobs easier. It made them. It allowed them to expand their footprint. So I think what you mentioned and ideas like that will definitely have us looking a little bit better in 2020, 2021. So hopefully the world doesn't end by then, so we'll get to see something.
Well, I can tell you from experience, it didn't end on Y2K. Everybody held their breath. They thought the computers were going to freak out. It didn't happen. So at this point, I think it's going to be fine. But yeah, it's a perfect example where the realtors' lives are better now. It's not as laborious. It's not as cumbersome. They're not sending you all the listings. The client comes to them and says, this is the house I want to see.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same thing with the movers. This technology, you're not going to have to take the phone call. Well, what about with packing? What about without packing? What if I don't move this? What if I don't have insurance? They're going to go online. They're going to do everything themselves, and they're going to send it to the mover and say, okay, I've planned everything out. I just need you to ship it.
But it is cool to have someone that cares about the industry, and you have skin in the game too. So it's not like you're just some tech company just throwing something out there and trying to disrupt for the sake of disruption. I mean, you're trying to solve an issue for some people that you care about, and then also for some other people you care about, so clients and suppliers. I just want to say, number one, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it, and you're doing some great things. Like I said, I've always kind of seen you around ERC. The cat's out the bag. Bill owns the company. We get it. We know. Congrats on all the success so far.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for having me. Hopefully I brought some value, maybe a little bit of motivation, maybe some good ideas. Definitely appreciate it. And anytime I can be a resource, man, you know how to get a hold of me.
I need you to say out loud that you need me to come down to Puerto Rico to discuss business, and I'll be there. Like, I can write that all.
Hey, if you're listening, I need Thomas to come down to Puerto Rico to discuss business. Please, the account depends on it.
Exactly.